I love seeing small businesses succeed, and I believe that success is a journey, not a destination. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of inspiration, empowerment, and actionable insights. We're all about turning your one-day dream into a right-now dream. If you're ready to create the life you have always wanted, you're in the right place. Let's discover your unique talents and forge your path to success. It's not just about chasing goals, it's about embracing the journey and building a life that you love. Each week, I'll bring you conversations with experts on marketing, business, and a plethora of other topics that align with who you want to become. Whether you're an entrepreneur, creative, or simply someone on a mission, my goal is to provide you with the tools, stories, and a mindset shift to help you thrive. Buckle up, get ready to dig deep. Let's turn those dreams into gold. This is the Orem Collective podcast. So glad you all are here today. I am really stoked about our topic because it is something that is near and dear to my heart. And that is because it is exactly how we got our business, our wedding venue, through the scary startup years, which also happened to coincide with one of the most unpredictable times in all of our lives. So let's go back for just a moment. Do not worry, we will not dwell here long. I don't want to remember it too much. It's summer of 2019 and the wedding industry is booming. It feels like nothing can change that. So what do you do when the wedding industry is booming? You open a wedding venue. Aaron and I decided now is the time. We're going to make our one-day dream a right now dream. We had been looking for a space to lease for over a year, and we had finally found the space. It was perfect. It was exactly what we had been looking for. Large open space, high ceilings, open concept, industrial beams, brick walls, large windows. You get it. We loved it, and it was time to pull the trigger. We signed the lease on clay in July of 2019 and started making plans for renovations. Now, fast forward to spring of 2020, we were well under construction and getting so excited to start booking up with our new wedding venue and all of our new couples. We were hearing rumors of something called COVID. I vividly remember reading a news article from Italy about how they were shutting down people's weddings. And I clear as day remember telling Aaron, there is no way they will do that here. Well, you all know what came next. Let's not rehash that. None of us want to relive it. Are you tired of wading through legal jargon, hoping your company contracts are legally sound? Say goodbye to the stress of what if and hello to Creative Law Shop contracts. We use Creative Law Shop's simple templates for our businesses. They are specifically tailored for creative entrepreneurs. Creative Law Shop provides the legal documents you need to succeed, from client contracts to operating agreements and everything in between. Creative Law Shop has what you are looking for. Don't let legal worries hold you back from turning your one-day dream into a right-now dream. Head over to shopcreativelaw.com. Enter code OREM10 at checkout for 10% off. That's shopcreativelaw.com, code AURUM10 for 10% off. So, it's the midst of a global pandemic. Uncertainty looms. Dun, dun, dun. I know, the drama. Truly, though, businesses were closing left and right. And if I'm being honest, that year I cried so much. I worried more than I cried. I gave myself an ulcer. It was so scary on so many levels. The startup years are already scary enough that you don't want to have to put that with a global pandemic. Anyway, Aaron and I stayed the course. We honestly didn't have many options. We had put a lot of our savings into this dream and we were in. We didn't really have a lot of options. Now, did I mention that I was also pregnant with our second baby at this point? And it truly felt like our dream was about ready to come crashing down. And with it, everything we had invested. So I want to tell you how we made it through and how I am standing here today to talk about it. I'm going to give you our 3 key takeaways from starting a now successful wedding venue in the midst of a global pandemic and how that has taught us that running lean is always the best model. Okay, I am going to lay out the numbers for you because I feel like not enough people are honest about the numbers, and that can make it really hard to relate to when you're first starting out. Now, this is probably going to be a little bit controversial, and I'm going to say it right now. I am not making financial recommendations. I am not a financial advisor. I do highly recommend finding a financial advisor to help with the best ways to go about funding your new business. That's actually a great idea. Note to self, schedule a financial advisor to come on the podcast and advise all of us. Okay, anyway, so all of that to say, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm going to tell you how we did it just so you have something to relate to. Now, Aaron and I decided to cash in $50,000 from our 401k. We did have to pay a penalty on that, so take that into account. But $50,000 from our 401k, and then we took out a $50,000 loan as well. And then personally, we invested about $25,000 over the first 2 years of startup. So in total, we started our wedding venue that we lease. We do not own our building, we lease it. All in $125,000 investment, which I would also like to tell you that we are celebrating our 4th birthday. And so that means we're heading into our 5th year of business, and we have already paid off our $50,000 loan. We are currently debt free, and we are going into that 5th year of business paying ourselves back on our personal investment as well. What has really defined our journey thus far has been that we run really lean. And the 3 key ways that we did that are these. 1, we cut out the fat. 2, we know our numbers. And 3, we were really slow to hire. Okay, you guys. I mean, y'all, we started in 2020. We had zero, zip, zilch, nada. You get it. We had no income coming in. Our business plan had gone out the window. All of our ideas of how we were going to make money were not there. At this point, we had to look at every penny we had because no new pennies were coming in. And the ones we had to be pinched. We had to be really strategic with our resources. This meant we had some really hard, really tough decisions. We had to prioritize the necessities, and we had to find really creative solutions to keep costs down without compromising on the quality or our end goal vision. I'll talk more about the vision and the end goal later, so tuck that in your back pocket for now. I know from talking with many startup venues and companies, it's really easy to get ahead of yourself and to spend before you have a good idea of where your money will be needed. It's so easy to inflate your business by buying. Yes, it can feel great and even important to have everything on brand and every design detail being perfect. But when you're first starting out, I'm a really big encourager and believer in doing things in phases. If you're sitting on milk crates in the back shed instead of dumping all your investment dollars into the perfect office space, then you are my kind of scrappy business owner. So, what does it mean to run lean? 1, cut the fat. To run lean, you have to cut the fat out. Get rid of anything that is not needed to function. For us, that meant that we had no employees. Aaron and I did everything. Honestly, I recommend that you work every single job in your business anyway, so that you know how your business works. Yes, that means you clean bathrooms, you send out emails, you plan client meetings, you create content, you work events, everything. One thing that working all the jobs at the start means is that you don't have the overhead of payroll, which is a point I'll go into later. And more importantly, you get to see where in your business you can cut things and where there are no options. This is a necessity. This is something that has to have financial backing. Now, we're also really scrappy when it comes to how we run our businesses. We rarely pay full price for anything. Hello, Facebook Marketplace. You will likely find us DIYing things. If you follow Clay on Instagram or you've looked at our website, then you've probably seen our really giant yarn chandeliers in our venue. People comment on them all the time. And I really wanted these giant globe chandeliers. They were beautiful. But to buy 3 of them for our venue was going to cost almost 10 grand. And that was just not an option. So what did I do? I got 3 miles of white yarn and 2 gallons of Elmer's glue, and I made them myself. So being scrappy is the best way to go at the beginning. I'm not saying you need to run yourself into the ground and take no time to rest. I'm actually a really big believer in rest and having some semblance of balance in your life. I'll talk a lot about that on the podcast. So don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying work yourself into the ground, never rest. I think you should do all those things. Don't be a workaholic, but realize that to start anything new is going to take some hustle. Point 1, cut the fat. Don't buy if you don't have to. Don't hire if you can do it yourself, and make it or buy it used if you can. This will make a huge difference in your numbers, which brings me to my next point, knowing your numbers. You, as the owner, must know your numbers. I cannot tell you how many business owners I talk to that have no idea what their numbers are. They don't know what a profit and loss statement is. They have no idea what it costs them to run their business. Now, do not get me wrong. I am a creative at heart and numbers scare me too. It is not my favorite thing to do, but I have learned to do it because my numbers inform all of my decisions in our businesses. If you haven't already, you need to go back and listen to episode 2 when I interview Olivia from Frolic Bookkeeping, because she talks all about how knowing your numbers is not scary. It's the opposite. Numbers give you power. As a business owner, I could not agree more with that statement. When you know where you can and cannot spend, then you have the information to make the decisions of how your money will work for you. So this year, this is a really good example. This year, we invested in a new patio at our venue. This is not an inexpensive investment. It was for sure not something that we could do at the start when we first opened. So this is where I go back to, I encourage doing all of your upgrades to your business in phases. So we needed a patio when we first opened. So what did we do when we couldn't afford it? Well, we got free cattle guard fencing, we painted it black, and we hung bistro lighting outside. And that was our patio for 2 wedding seasons. Was it the full vision of what I wanted? No, absolutely not. But it served the purpose that got us to a place financially where we could make this huge upgrade to our venue with cash on hand. All of our big updates that we have made to our venue have been in cash. So, my question for you is, do you know your numbers and are they informing how your business runs? If you don't know your numbers, then my assumption would be that you are likely not running lean. Do not be discouraged by this. I totally get it. It can feel so overwhelming to understand your numbers. But if you haven't kept good track or you feel like you don't know where to start with all these things, these would be my tips. Start with a really good bookkeeping program. We use Xero. I will link all of this in the notes just so you have like quick, easy links, but we use Xero for all of our bookkeeping. It's very user-friendly. If you're a smaller business with less numbers coming in and coming out, a really good way to keep track is the spreadsheet that Olivia talked about again in episode 2. She has an amazing spreadsheet that I actually use for Orem. And if you use the link in the show notes, you get 20% off of that spreadsheet. So that's a really good one if you don't want to use something as robust as Xero or QuickBooks, something like that. The next thing would be to have a really good CRM. We use HoneyBook. I'll also link HoneyBook, and you'll also hear our ads during the podcast for HoneyBook. We love HoneyBook. It is a really good resource of making sure that you know where your money is coming from, what events it's coming from, when you're getting paid. Making it also really easy for your clients to pay you is a really helpful way of keeping track of your numbers. Next is, I highly, highly recommend hiring a really good CPA to handle your taxes either quarterly or at the end of the year. And a CPA is also another person that I want to have on the podcast to talk through small business taxes, how to file them, best practices. So again, head back to Olivia's podcast. There's so much good information in that episode that talks about being prepared for your end of the year taxes. But again, we'll have a CPA come on and talk more about actually filing your taxes and best practices for that. Are you drowning in client tasks? From contracts to communication, keeping up can be overwhelming. But fear not. I'm here to introduce you to HoneyBook, the ultimate solution for managing your business seamlessly. Say goodbye to stress and hello to streamlined workflows. With HoneyBook CRM, handling contracts, payments, and client services has never been easier. Join me and countless others who've discovered the power of efficiency. Ready to take the leap? Head to share.honeybook.com/Orem and use code OREM for an incredible 50% off for an entire year. That's right, half off for 12 whole months. Trust me, this is a game changer you won't regret. Visit share.honeybook.com/Orem and enter the code OREM, that's AURUM, for your exclusive Orem offer. Third point is being slow to hire. So last but not least, slow to hire. We have a very small staff, our venue, and there are a million theories of how and when and who to hire, but my hot take is to wait until you can truly afford it. Again, there are so many takes on this subject, and I know that it can be hard to know when you can truly afford it. But again, knowing your numbers and cutting the fat from the start is going to help you have the funds available sooner so that you can hire the staff you need to grow and make more money in the long run. Like I mentioned in the first point, working all the positions in your business is going to also really help inform who to hire and when to hire them. The things that you're really bad at is generally a great place to start. Working on all the positions in your business also gives you the chance to create really good systems for how you want the job to be done before you hand it over to someone else, which will hopefully also cut down turnover, which can be very expensive. Training employees over and over and over again and never really getting them to a point where they can take things off your plate is not really helpful. It's just creating more work for you, and you also are having payroll. Now, I'm going to kind of give you the play by play on how we hired and what that looked like, and then where we are today. So, our first hire at our venue was a day of coordinator. And this was a really strategic hire for us. We could have gone a million different ways where, like when I said, hiring what you're bad at, we could have hired somebody for marketing because that wasn't really something that we understood fully. But where we needed the most help and where we were feeling the most overwhelm in our business was in the day of coordinator position. We had a lot of weddings that were needing a day of coordinator, and I could not do it all myself. So I wanted someone that could come help with planning weddings and creating an experience for our couples. And then it also created a little bit of availability for me to have a day off every once in a while. So we were able to afford this position by hiring someone as a contract employee. So you're going to have to look into the laws in your state. But basically, we hired somebody who was a planner, had their own business, and could work just when we needed them. We also raised our prices for our wedding rentals of the venue to include a day of coordinator. And that increase in price automatically created a surplus in our budget that then we were able to pay someone out of. That is kind of how that really was feasible for us. We raised our prices up to the value for our couples by, I think, $1 million worth. Having a dedicated day of coordinator the day of your wedding is huge. And so that was easy to sell as a major upgrade. And it also was then a really easy way for us to have that surplus in our budget to be able to afford someone. The next hire that we had after that was in the marketing area. Again, something that we were not really great at. We didn't fully understand SEO and marketing and Google ads. This was a really good hire. And it's a crucial area that I think we could probably all look at our business and see like, oh gosh, this could be hindering us from bringing in more bookings. So it was a really easy hire because marketing employees or a marketing firm, if they are doing their job correctly, they should pay for themselves tenfold. So again, look into your state's laws and how it works with having either a 1099, which is a contract employee, or a W-2 employee who is on your payroll. You'll have to look into your state's laws. Just because we have staff, that does not mean that Erin and I do not work. We often are working at least half, if not all of the events. That doesn't mean we're there all day, but we are on site, at least one of us, if not both of us, for part of the event. So again, keeping your hands in your business, especially at the beginning, is so important. You don't want to see waste. Still a really good way to keep your finger on the pulse of your business is by being on site during events or being a part of what your business is doing. So I really hope these tips were helpful and actionable for you and that you feel you can go out and make some adjustments to your business. And I really hope it helps you feel empowered to run your business in a more lean way. I would love to hear your questions if you are an aspiring venue or business owner, and if you have maybe some other tips that you have implemented into your business that have helped you run lean, let us know. A great way to tell us how you have run your business or tips and tricks is to head over to our Orem Collective Facebook community, drop in there, join the community. Lots of fun discussions happening in there. Great place to ask questions and find friends who are either in your same industry or who are in the same season of business ownership as you. So drop over there or drop over to Instagram. Let's be friends. We want to achieve big things together. And I think when we communicate, ask questions, and help each other along the way, we all go after making our one day dreams a right now dream. Until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Tuesday. I think you just became a better version of you. You finished another episode of the Orem Collective podcast, and it shows. If you want more, head over to orumcollective.com for show notes and discount codes from today's episode. If you want to keep the conversation rolling, join our community on Instagram and Facebook. All the details are at orumcollective.com. Until next time, keep making your one-day dream a right now dream.